morning, everyone. Welcome to Sports Kathi. It's been a long time since we have had a session. We have all this time constraints that's coming in because Vaishag is now in California, Karan in Australia, Bhanu is in England. So we have like big difficulty to manage time. Anyway, so we thought, okay, let's catch up on sessions with whoever available because we have some few big things happening in sports and we have not covered it yet. And that's firstly, India are now touring or South Africa. So when I'm recording this is just before the third ODI. So we have lost the Test series and the ODI series already. So which is not great news. But then there's bigger news, So rather than talking about India's performance, what we thought today is that let's talk about Kohli and Kohli's retirement and how that comes in. So Karan, welcome. What do you think about Kohli's retirement? How did this hit you? Did you expect this? Did you see this coming?
I mean, the last couple of months have been much of a roller coaster ride for an Indian fan. Like we won at Gaba, and then we're like, okay, we're going to do good things. We're going to win the World Cup. The IPL was happening. We beat England and India. So yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to 2021 as the year where everything reaches the maximum of the capacity or what the team could achieve, and then the T20 World Cup happens where we just get knocked out in the first round, and then I was looking forward to the Test series in South Africa, where I was like, okay, this is where things will start to move, and Kohli quitting his captaincy in T20, in ODIs, and then suddenly Test, so that just threw me off as an Indian fan. So I think we're going back into the rebuilding phase. That joyous period of us being successful didn't last too long. But I honestly feel I'm not too happy with it. But it's I think it's the right thing because we need Kohli the batter more than Kohli the captain. Even though he built that entire team around us, especially the Test team, because when he took over from Dhoni in 2014, we were I think 7th on the table. And I think after that, I think we are number one for about 4 or 5 years continuously. So, like even though he's a bit animated on the field, his personality was rubbed onto the team. And with Shastri coming in and everything, like what that team did was wonderful in my opinion. And yeah, it felt a bit bad to see that Kohli ended his tenure in that way. Not too happy on that front.
I think a couple of key points you mentioned there. Firstly, you mentioned about Kohli retiring from all or resigning or stepping down from all formats. So now, that's, I would say part of it was kind of shocking for me because T20, I understand where it came from. ODIs, maybe, yes, managing and, limited overs captaincy under a single captain makes more sense. But then Test team captaincy to step down was a big, big move. And I really hope that, he has done this purely because of that, he feels that that's the best way for the team to go forward and best way he can contribute for the team because and not just because of all those that's going in the background, with all the BCCI president and all the issues that's going in the background and the change of coach that came up. I hope that's not what has made him make the decision. So that's the big thing there. Anyways, having said that, let's just, step back and see what Kohli did during his tenure. And, that's where I want to just ask you that, like, as Kohli as a Test captain, let's not take him for a T20 and ODI captain, but Kohli as a Test captain, where do you rate him and like, how do you place him and what do you think was his like main moments? Let's go one by one.
Okay, so to be honest, in my head, when Kohli, like what Kohli was doing, I was pretty confident he's going to break Graeme Smith's record of 53 wins. Because I'm like Kohli, he had already become the most successful Indian captain, which I didn't even consider. I mean, there wasn't even a point of debate. And I was like, Kohli is easily going to captain the Test team for at least 3 years. And he's going to have at least 60 wins under his belt. So from that aspect, like when I started watching cricket, I didn't think any Test captain would reach 40 Test wins because I've seen India probably under Sachin, we didn't do that well. Under Ganguly, we did pick up, but whenever we would go abroad, we would start losing. At home, we were giants. With Dravid, it was okay. When Dhoni came in, okay, there was a slight turn happening. With Kumble also, it was okay. But then when Kohli came up and like at home, we were a fortress, so we couldn't lose. And then suddenly he built this team, which was very bowling heavy, and they're going abroad, and suddenly they're the favorites, right? Like suddenly, like last 3-4 years, I'm like, oh, when India goes abroad, they're not the underdogs anymore, and they come out to be favorites. So I feel that is something which Kohli got into the Test team. Like his personality was all over the team. Like he was a bit brash, he was a bit animated, he would sledge a lot. But hey, I mean, if you take Kohli for your captain, that's what you get. So you can't be picky and say like, oh, I don't like that aspect of him. But then that is what you get when you get Virat Kohli. So I think he did a phenomenal job. 40 Test wins isn't easy, and I mean, I really hope he can come back, but
Yeah.
let's see what happens over the next few years.
I don't see him coming back, because I think he makes a decision, he goes with it. I don't see him as a person who's going to come back into captaincy unless it's a very, very bad situation for India and there's no other option to go there. Having said that, Kohli as a Test captain, you rightly mentioned some key points. Again, I heard this in various conversations, various people talking about it. Is that earlier we used to picture India as a very good team at home, but going away, we were always hoping that we win. Let's hope to win in Australia. There's big chance to win in England. That's how it used to be, But under Kohli, the things have changed. When we do 2014, when Kohli took up the captaincy, we were happy if you could win one match in Australia in that series because we were coming from a 4-0 drubbing in Australia. We were happy if you could win one match. From there, we have won 2 back-to-back series in Australia. We have, I would say, won a series in England, maybe on the verge of winning a series in England. And, South Africa series, we lost it, but it's more like, oh, wow, we were the favorites. India were the favorites in going to play in South Africa and winning a series when no team in Indian history has won a series in South Africa. So that is the biggest takeaway for Kohli. That's the biggest thing of captaincy. I think Ashwin pointed out saying that, the biggest thing of him stepping down is that it's such a headache for the person following up because we have to now keep up with what he has done, which is what I think stands out for him. And main reasons I think you mentioned it, Karan, very rightly, is that he backing his ballers. India were always going away or going even at home. India were a team which plays 7 batsmen and 4 bowlers. So that is what India was. India's first intention of going away was not to lose. That was the idea. If you don't lose a Test match in Australia, if you don't lose a Test match in England, it was considered to be a great thing. I still remember when I was growing up, one of the biggest memories of one of the greatest series which I have in my head, away. Obviously, 2001 Kolkata, 2001 series stands out, but away was 2003-4 Australia series. And why that stands out was because India could actually fight and gain a draw. We drew a series. That was such a great achievement, That was considered to be great. So, and now I would say, like, if you draw a series, we are like, wow, like, seriously, that's not so. I think Kohli has played a very big part in that. And that is something which I believe we will miss Kohli as a captain. What's next? What's next for Indian team? You touched upon saying maybe Kohli coming back. I really hope that doesn't happen. So what is next for Indian team? Who do you think should lead the Indian Test team? What do you think is up there for Indian team going forward?
I mean, before I address that, who I see the next captain within red ball cricket, it's very important to understand that Kohli is still around the team. Like what happened with Dhoni was he retired and he was off. Like Dhoni never played Test cricket under some other captain, right? So what we need to understand is that Kohli as a player, like he has to bat within this Test team now, right? And that is something that Tendulkar also had to do. So I feel that this is the time where Kohli is like, okay, I'm not leading the pack, but I have to be a part of the pack and make sure that, I do the right thing. So that is something which I feel will be very interesting to watch because we all know Tendulkar could do that really well. And that is what allowed him to play at least 10, 15 years more because he didn't want that captaincy tag on him anymore. And that allowed that late flourish in his career where he had some phenomenal innings. So I really hope that Kohli can do that because what I feel is that if you take, like, that's what I felt in the ODI series, or at least in the first 2 matches, even though Kohli was vocal, I didn't see Kohli's vocal abilities being that high, I would say. So I really hope that captaincy him letting go of captaincy or something doesn't affect his batting. That being said, whoever is the next captain, he needs to still work around Virat Kohli because even now, this is technically Virat Kohli's team. Like the bowlers and everyone around the team, some way or the other, have gotten into the team through Virat Kohli, or Virat Kohli is like a mentor to them. So I feel that it might be fair to say that Jasprit Bumrah or a KL Rahul or these young players who I would see as a captain, because these are players who would predominantly play all three formats, and they're pretty much their position is guaranteed in the playing 11. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have like a bowler captain coming in, or maybe a KL Rahul, but I don't see anyone else as being the right contender at this point. So it would be KL Rahul or Jasprit Bumrah for me.
Makes sense. Makes sense. I think again you again touched upon very key points that Kohli, what his body language was for the first two ODIs. But I think I think he's working out where he now fits in, what he needs to say, what he doesn't need to say. When you change a role, you always are trying to figure out what your boundaries are. So maybe that's what Kohli is doing now. It might take some time, but I'm sure Kohli, the batsman, will shine through. He's he still has a good 4-5 years in him. So I don't see Kohli, the batsman, having much of a trouble, and I'm sure he will start understanding where his boundaries are, and he will start again contributing towards a team success. So maybe this is just finding that roll out situation now. Now coming forward, you again said when I asked you about who the next Indian captains were, I liked the option when you said Jasprit Bumrah, because Australia has taken that decision to go with Pat Cummins. Till now we had this Kane Williamson and Kohli and Root and Smith. Now maybe we might start seeing Cummins and Bumrah and maybe Jofra Archer. I don't know, someone like from there coming in. So to have the ballers captaining the teams, which is an interesting take. I completely understand the idea behind it, because Bumrah is one of those key players in Indian team, and that makes sense. KL Rahul is another player who is I would say now kind of becoming a permanent fixture in the Indian Test team. Obviously, in the last 6 months, he has done that. So yeah, I don't know whether it's still a permanent role, but his option I do understand, and he is the vice captain for the limited overs. So I do see him, a very good contender. Personally, who I want to be India's captain for me in Test for now, at least for short term, should be Rohit Sharma. India does not have a natural captain in our team. A captain needs to be a leader of the pack. He doesn't need to be the best player. I never think he needs to be the best player. We have seen how well George Bailey led his team. How well maybe Steve Waugh. Maybe he was not the best player through his career. Because there was always Shane Warne and McGrath and legends there. But we saw that a player need not be the best player in the team, but he needs to be a leader. And I think Rohit Sharma is that. Rohit Sharma is a leader of sorts, and that is the reason why he got the limited overs captaincy. So I believe Rohit Sharma is the natural choice for captain, but where it becomes a concern is that when Rohit Sharma becomes a Test captain, a couple of things needs to be understood. The first thing is that he's not going to be there for long. He's 35 now, 34, 35. Yeah. So we're looking at maybe a couple of years of Rohit Sharma. So that is something which we need to understand. And that is something which, we have seen before. Like Kumble, when he became a captain, he was captain for maybe 2 or 3 years. He just a transition period from Dravid to Dhoni. That's what Kumble did. Dravid did a similar thing. So we need to understand that's what Rohit Sharma can provide. Maybe till the real good candidate comes in, or till maybe Rahul really understands the role, becomes a permanent fixture, maybe Rohit Sharma can do that step gap. Second thing we need to understand with Rohit Sharma, the captain, is that this is a question which I hope the team selectors ask Rohit Sharma and understand that whether he is confident, whether he is willing to play all these formats. Because what we have seen Rohit Sharma is that even in Test, I think in the last 2 years, he has missed key series. Like, in the South Africa series is one, maybe not so important New Zealand series previously. Then he missed the New Zealand away series. So, he has missed some key series because of fitness issues. So this is a conversation I hope selectors have with Rohit Sharma and ask him, like, we would like you to lead the team, but will you be available for this time? And that is a very, very key question for him to answer. And that is something which, if the answer is yes, I don't see an option. I don't see a question why Rohit Sharma cannot lead for Indian team for the next 2 years. If that is not there, I still, maybe someone like Rahul or Bumrah can be given an option. The concern with Rahul, which I have, is he has not led Indian any team apart from IPL as a captain. Even in his domestic team, I think Manish Pandey leads Karnataka. So that is something which I have a concern with Rahul, whether he is a natural leader or not. So apart from that, I understand the concepts, and if Rohit Sharma says no, then I think we are in a slight difficult situation to be in. So that's it.
I would like to add a few things to
yeah.
what you said, because
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, you made a very fair point that we don't have a captain as it is. It would have been really nice if we had Ajinkya Rahane slightly in form right now, because that would have been the right transition, so that we could have had a different white ball and red ball captain. And Rahane being a red ball captain would have been the best case scenario for us, because he's not going to play ODIs or T20 internationals. I also feel that Rishabh Pant can be the X factor captain, because if you have like a transition captain for the next couple of years, let's say Rohit Sharma comes in, and then maybe you can groom up Rishabh Pant, because I feel Rishabh Pant's position in the Test team is a lot more secure compared to KL Rahul. But with Rishabh Pant, he's the flamboyant flag bearer of cricket, I think. So it'll be a bit tricky, but I'm pretty sure the BCCI should do a good job. With respect to Rohit Sharma, for Rohit Sharma to become captain, his hamstrings need to understand what needs to happen. Because if he keeps getting these injuries, I mean, I honestly feel that there's a chance that Rohit Sharma might stop playing red ball cricket and he'll prioritize white ball, because he only has a couple of years left in front of him, and he would want to lead India to that World Cup win in either T20 or the next 50 over World Cup. And if I genuinely feel at some point of time he will take that decision, because he's also the captain for Mumbai Indians in IPL. So the workload management for these guys is really difficult. But yeah, I mean, that transition thing which you said, I think makes sense. Instead of straight away giving up the captaincy to a young player, probably have some stability for a couple of years and then hand it over to the next incoming captain. That was a very fair point.
Yes. So, anyways, we will call it day here. So, thanks everyone for viewing this. So, we are back now. So, we will try to figure out where we can have the sessions and what we can cover. As I told, there is a geographical constraint which we have. So that's it from our side for now. Thank you everyone, and see you next time. Till then, have fun.
See you guys.